I'd argue that Nintendo is actually in the right with what they're doing to Gary Bowser, not necessarily what they're doing to Point Crow. For those of you who don't know, there's this YouTuber by the name of Point Crow who's actually in a boxing match with this guy's Toast. The boxing match being the chess boxing event that ended up winning Ludwig the Streamer of the Year award or whatever fucking award he ended up getting. The main thing that Point Crow does, well, not necessarily the main thing, but one of the big things that he does on his channel is do modded versions of like different Nintendo games and just Nintendo games in general. And ever since the Mario movie came out and they announced Tears of a Kingdom, which is going to come out in a little bit, like in a few weeks, I guess. Tears of a Kingdom being the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It seems like Nintendo right now is doing two things, and that's making sure nobody mods the game, which is stupid and ridiculous, and nobody pirates it in any way, shape, or form. The other side of that comes with Point Crow. They've taken down some of his videos and has been issuing him some very harsh strikes within like the past week or so. When it comes to the Nintendo and Point Crow drama, there's really hasn't been anything in the past 6 days about it. No new updates. Point Girl hasn't made a video about it, so that's kind of the drama there. Hopefully, he can get some of his videos back, and like the strikes won't mean anything. I think because of how the terms of service is, because it was so quick, probably not. I remember they issued him like what 4 on different videos or whatever, but all the other videos being taken down. I'm also very curious about why it's Point Crow specifically because there are other content creators who do the same thing that he does, but that's neither here nor there. The main problem is that Nintendo is just taking down his videos for really no reason, no good reason. And of course, Nintendo has done like way worse things, like cancel some Smash tournaments and other things and such. But that's the main point is in the new drama that people are talking about is the fact that this guy by the name of Gary Bowser now has to pay $10 million to Nintendo, like 20% of his monthly income every month to Nintendo, even though he will never be able to pay it off. And that is really not a point to be talked about because the guy that they're doing this to is literally a piece of shit. The reason why it's something that it shouldn't be talked about is because Gary Bowser was essentially a fall guy for an even bigger organization that like hacks game companies and stuff like that. So really, I'm not really too beat up about it because of that fact. Like this wasn't his first time being caught doing something like hacking or whatever. He was first caught and was given essentially a slap on the wrist, being like, "Hey, don't do that again because if you do that again, we're gonna be even worse or whatever." Well, as you can probably guess, he ended up doing it again, and when he did it again, he got caught, got 40 months in jail. He got out because, or is getting out right now because of good behavior. But on top of that, he has to pay, I think, 10.4 million or 11 million, something like that, to Nintendo throughout the rest of his working life. All of this because he took Nintendo Switches, he hacked them so that people can get like free games and stuff like that. But what he did as well was add in malware into the Switches, and it had held them for ransom essentially. Meaning that not only did he steal from Nintendo themselves, he also stole from other people who were trying to steal from Nintendo as well. I really can't feel bad for this guy. And also circling back to it being a bigger organization, it makes me think that there is a very slight chance that he's going to be able to pay off this 10 million like out of nowhere. I know that sounds ridiculous, but still, there's still people doing what he was doing who hasn't gotten caught, mainly because he was essentially took the blame for it. So is he going to be suffering his entire life? There's a good chance that it probably won't be, but will we ever find out about it later? Probably not, because really I don't see anybody else talking about the fact that like this could be fixed like instantly, or he could just go and do some other hacking job and get like 10 million. He could. It's really possible. Out of all the times Nintendo decides to actually put his foot down, I think this one is the only fairly reasonable one. Not shutting down Smash tournaments, not deleting and striking a YouTuber, and it's not the first person they did this to before. They used to do this a lot to people who did Mario Kart gameplays. Like, oh, you have Mario music in the background while you're playing this game that we made and we usually don't copyright strike or take down or whatever. Well, we're gonna do it anyways. the random people. I remember having the Jacksepticeye one time. Nintendo is dumb.